capture all of the actions, all of the momentum, and it's effective up to the point where the design is done. And in fact, it can't. I completely understand it can't bring silos together because people can get excited when they feel that they're really involved in something that's going to be great. But at a certain point, the thing, it's like where you created a kind of virtual governance. But how does one then create that? How does one then extend that virtual governance into a position where it can now start to behave in a more systemic way, to be able to say, go beyond? I mean, I look at Ken's project and I think it's too small. This needs to be a system that's applied over the whole of the harbor commission lines because it makes sense to reinstate the delta the way that you're doing. But again, it can't because there's still because governance still. Traditional governance, traditional property ownership still kind of break that up. How in your mind? I mean, you've done a very amazing thing to be able to get as far as you did. How do you, in effect, make that more sustainable, more comprehensive as a kind of institution to in effect defend these projects, make sure that they're built, make sure that new projects that haven't even been conceived of now come on stream.
The proof, for me, the proof is in the quality of what's built. Yeah. That's why I like, we were just waiting for the West 8 first wave bed, and then went down there and I said it's pretty good, but I know the next 12 ones are coming. And you build, on success. And I firmly believe if it's not really good, I always told the panel, I said, if you don't know the difference between good, very good, and excellent, don't show up. Just don't even come to the panel.
But when do you move from being Bruce Kuwabara, the kind of chair of a design guidance group, to Daniel Byrne?
Right. Well,
when does that transition?
It may not be in the same person. Maybe I can be Little Buddha, and Ken can be Daniel Byrne. I think what Ken said was really good. He said it's not one of us, like not one person, and that's where I feel like I feel I'm playing a role, and I don't, and actually there are limits to skill sets, right? But I'm not the right person to just sort of lay out the master plan. In fact, I haven't proposed anything except the subtext of my thing has been the lack of connectivity between the city, that there isn't one good way to walk to the water right now. I flew to Seattle to see the Weissman-Ready Park, 19 million, like an amazing project. What value is that? Tremendous, right? I'm not Weissman-Ready. I just say that's a great project that I think Toronto could learn from. They have the same freeway, they have rail line. Design is really, really important. And when I see it, I have to go see it because it's really relevant to our problems. I flew to Boston because it's a great little building.
Yeah, I just want to make one parting comment. I apologize in advance since I have to leave to get somewhere else, but I want to talk about design. What I've observed over that trajectory that Val was describing, that Toronto experience, is a dawning understanding that design is not just image making, it's a fundamental and powerful way of problem solving. And I think what has happened here, a way to expand this, is that as these beautiful risks that Waterfront Toronto has taken by doing these competitions, by engaging design, by starting to do things in a new way, as they take hold and to the extent that they actually demonstrate success and validity, and they're not just cosmetic, but they actually work in profound ways. Clearly all this is going to be imitated. And just to take one small example, the fact that the Waterfront Toronto Design Review Panel has worked so well and are working well in Regent Park has led to design review panels all over the city. People say, this works, let's do it. So I think a very hopeful thing for people in this room who are studying design is that this set of professions is really going upstream to fundamental problem solving and gaining credibility and gaining a place at a table that it never had before.
Ian, the really quick point is you run one word you said, Ken, to me, which out of all of us is risk. We're scared to take risk. Take it. We'll learn, we'll do. Take a risk. That's what we're about.
Ken has to leave, but could we take a couple questions for the panel from the audience? Would that be okay? Would you like to do the questions from the audience?
Oh, I do.
Go ahead. You do. Okay. So we can take 2 questions. Who would like to ask a question for panel?
I'm just wondering, what do the implications of the Cherry Street development have on the future of Toronto's shipping industry? Will it just cease to exist because there are ships that use it now, and it doesn't look like they'll probably be able to go side by side with what's being proposed? So I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on that?
One of the things that's the most interesting thing that I've learned about is that apparently red hot sugar is there because of Pinellas Castro. Someone sugar comes to Canada and then goes to the States. I never knew that. They are going to be there. They have a long-term lease. One of the, so you're going to still have some industrial shipping because you can't expropriate them or get them out of there, even though some people would like to get them out of there. They were really worried about residential development in close proximity. Apparently there's a lot of sugar that's floating in the air, hence Sugar Beach that Claude Cormier, hence Jack Diamond was proposing white frit on the glass, right? Like the sugar. But the Chorus building is a kind of buffer to the residential further to the east. You should understand it. Like we were in the thing where we were talking about design, but if that building doesn't go ahead, then you can't do the stuff further to the east because of the agreements between Waterfront Toronto and Redpath Sugar. So there are all these gnarly things. I think it's really very much Toronto that nothing's perfect here. Nothing ever was perfect. Nothing was ideal, other than the first map. But then it never happened. And I think Toronto's missed whole phases of urbanism. It leapfrogged over a whole bunch of things, like the Garden City movement. We have, only in Toronto do you have like half a garden court. The other half never got built. It's a city of fragmented visions, many of them, and I just want to be around long enough that all the time we put in on this one doesn't get wiped out before I leave my post down there. I mean, it has to be successful, and so there are all these cheap by gel, and the industry's good. I mean, it's an employer, okay? It has character. But it's thinning out. It's thinning out, and I think Val's thing, which is pushing over to Portland. We've got a whole big box war going over there. There's the film port, that's new industry, really, new film industry. It's complicated, and I'm sure Ken would love it if he could just keep going, keep going further and further and further. But I was on the jury for Ken Greenburg's project, and it was an interesting jury because it had Ed Bertinsky on it, and he actually, he's an amazing photographer, but he knows more about sustainability than I do. I mean, he's thought about it because this whole practice is based on photographing sites of extraction and transformation of the land, and I just was not aware how smart that guy was in terms of judging the schemes that were coming in, and Morton Yallis was on that jury too, and they kind of led the way to focus towards that one scheme, because I actually like some of the other schemes. There was a real shootout. There were some really great-looking projects.
Brown stories.
But it was amazing. The whole Stoss landscape one, that was interesting, and it was sort of the notion that you're constructing artificial nature. You were going to reconstruct an artificially, compared to build it, that would perform naturally. I didn't understand that. So Ed Bertinsky basically really led the charge to pick a scheme like that, coming from his background of photographing landscape.
Well, Central Park is all artificial too.
Totally.
Olmsted actually had Union soldiers carrying small trees around, and he would stand there and he would guide them to where he wanted the tree.
Come in on that.